Oh, greetings. I'm back again. um, I had more to say, like with most videos, and at the time it's very easy to even off that track onto tangents and not stay focused on the original intentions. Well, the intentions are always to um, explain things and hopefully keep the vibrations high. And there's several things worth explaining. Now, physically, if you're not comfortable, you will adjust and make yourself comfortable. So, going back to what I was saying about when those with the clone mentality or those that are trying to drag you down and lower your vibration will, if they don't want to hear something, it will make them uncomfortable. So they get themselves comfortable by taking themselves out of earshot of what you're saying. So that's rather. And something else I wanted to talk about is, well, let's put a. This is going to sound bizarre. Let's put a positive twist on funerals and dying. Actually, before we do that, I must say something else I was thinking about with the making live videos. It's moving beyond that point when you're conscious of that horrible light that's staring back at me and ignoring it. And you actually start in the mind's eye having an audience, is the best way I can describe it. So this is like a chat show now, in a way, although it's a monologue. But yes, funerals. There's several, well, there's always more than one way to look at anything. You can look at it in the negative aspect of boohoo, they're gone, I've lost someone I loved, and so on, all varying degrees. You can feed off that negative energy and feel sorry for yourself and get really stuck in a rut from it. But there's a thing that I would have thought would be obvious with this, especially, well, from the spiritual side and again from the truth seeking side. The more we uncover about the unpleasantries of this 3D reality, in many ways it is a blessing that they are released from this debt slave system, this entrapment, and they've got to take it out of it, and we're the ones that are left here. But we're here for a reason, and we need to embrace this as much as anything else. And it's often said that it's not a funeral, it's a celebration of their life. Well, yeah, but I mean, they've wasted their lives. I mean, if there's a potential, and there is infinite potential, and you could have, say, 1,000-year lifespan, well, you want that 1,000 years to be in a better world than it is now for a start. And if it is 1,000 years or whatever it is, we're being shortchanged here. Really, we are. And obviously the aging process is going to have to be addressed as well, but infinite possibilities again, 360 senses fully functional. What is the limits of to what we can do? Where's the edge of that, for example, if it's infinite? Greetings, Michael. I actually got to see one of the comments. A lot of the time I find I shut my eyes because I'm not seeing with the physical eyes. And in a way, I'm not actually speaking as such. I'm channeling. It's something coming through me. And this is fun doing these. I quite enjoy. I've definitely lost the self-conscious. I mean, I had it for the first few goes of making videos back in, way back in April of 2018, so they say. Because really, well, that's the only calendar, the C all-ender that we've got to go on. So it's an agreement, like any lie. A lie is an agreement by the victors. So might as well run with that. And Otherwise, we're just getting sidetracked into arguments over what the date is. And here we go again, divide and conquer tactics. That's the thing to always remember. One, you've got the choice, and two, look for the divide and conquer. What's the real intention behind something? White cop shoots black man. Well, no, don't see things in black and white, because while you're focusing on that, you're missing the point. It's humanity versus a control system. Regardless of what colour the victim is and the revenue officer is, because that's what they are at the end of the day. This has come out, if you look at A Plain Truth for You channel, for example. I mean, you're classed as an enemy of the United States government, which is a corporation, and the same will apply in pretty much every country. It'll be dressed up slightly differently, maybe wear a slightly different colour coat, but it's still the same thing. And it's why are we even doing things on their terms? Never mind, oh, it's illegal. Well, whose bloody laws is it? Because it's not natural law. I'm not saying get yourselves in trouble here, because you have to find a balance to this. But if I'm out as much as I practically can, I don't carry any ID, because it's all about conforming and being in the boxes and being boxed in. And if you're outside the box and thinking outside the box, then it makes it very difficult for this control system. This is why they don't like autism, because it's not a weakness. It's a slightly different wired way of doing things, and they can be absolutely brilliant and excel in something and not be up with the average expectations on something else. If you put Mozart, from all accounts of what is said about him as a person, outside of writing music, he couldn't even slice bread. He was useless at everything by all accounts. And to that level of music writing, that is probably true. And I should imagine if you put Mozart in a modern day setting, he would be classed as Asperger's, autism, ADHD, every other label that they could probably throw at him. And of course, he'd be well and truly sort of enmeshed into the music industry, which is just like Hollywood. But we're not going to go to the dark areas. We're going to keep to the positives, because that's the whole point of this. So yeah, funerals. Well, not just funerals, but relationships, when they come to an end, is like a funeral, is a grieving process to go through, definitely. And there's also, what have I learned from this? What experiences can I take away from it? It's very much a case of not what you haven't got, it's what you do have. And you have hopefully pleasant memories of that person, which through those memories, that physical person will carry on anyway. The soul doesn't die, it's infinite anyway. So it's a natural process. It's a recycling process of the soul. If they haven't learned the lessons, they'll have to come back and do it again. And they chose to go down that route and take that path, and it's too late. You can't go back in time at the moment. But that time is a false concept anyway. Once we have all 360 senses, I don't think time is even going to come into it. It will be a totally meaningless concept, because we are a presence in the present anyway. And everything that was and everything that will be and everything that is will be one again, because that is the point, that we are part of this grieving process and letting go when losing somebody in a relationship, or because they've died as well. Is, you could see that as a blessing, because say if it's an elderly couple that have been married for a long time, or even partners, it gives you that chance through that grieving to come to terms with being all one or alone. And you can have that craving and need to fill that void. But if you're latching on to something else to make up for something that is lacking within you, you're feeding off them, and you're inadvertently becoming an energy vampire, and you're being played again. It's very important to be like in meditative states where you are totally calm and peaceful, able to sit alone in silence without having this need to have sound or another person around you. You are complete and whole as one. And that can be something good that can come out of it, rather than seeing it all in the, oh, I've lost that person. So I'm just trying to put the flip side and offer a positive to something that is perceived, and I think it's deliberately perceived as something negative, because here and negative energies will always fit. It's like the magnets. The negative will attract the negative, the positive will attract the positive. And it is very much like what we radiate out will bring to us. So if we are going through a grieving process and we are then getting stuck in where it then transitions and transmutes more into feeling sorry for yourself, then it's a slippery slope, and it can become very hard to get out of. And I should imagine, I'm sure I've come across people they've not been able to move on from that loss, and they're stuck at that point, and their spiritual growth then stops. So it's important to see this from all angles, all angels. Yes, it is sad when you lose somebody, but it's all part of a process. We are subject to time and decay, but I'm sure that as we open up and more senses and the realities change, then that whole concept is going to change. And moving out beyond 3D reality to five, not just five, anything. The only thing it costs you is what you're prepared to put into it. But the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And you're teaching yourself, and you're learning from yourself, and you're also observing yourself as well. It's very much an inward journey. To boldly go where you have gone before. It's not going off somewhere else. It's going within. Everything is all about pointing within and going within oneself. And if you cannot be on your own, and then there's something lacking. So you're not content, and you're not being truthful to yourself. Something else I've thought about, these reactions you get from people when it becomes a hostile reaction. I think the best way to describe that is probably the penny has dropped, but they cannot cope with the idea that they have been fooled, and they are angry, but they can't be angry at themselves, so they then lash out, and because you're the one that's put the idea there, you're now the primary target. So that's something else to keep in mind. That the reactions are not the person, it's just the way they roll. And hi, DJ Harden, I think that is, new subscriber. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that, and hopefully what I'm saying helps explain things, and I can put things in my own unique way that hopefully will make sense and give a positive feeling just by changing the way you look at something. It doesn't change what is, it just changes the perspective we're seeing it from. And that's the true empowerment. It's not sort of like wave a magic wand and the sky turns green and the earth turns red or something. It's not that instantaneous or whatever, although it can be in wonderful ways. I think I might have mentioned this yesterday. I've been waiting to hear an organ transcription of a particular symphony. I've got it on cassette, but I haven't got anywhere really to play the cassette tape anymore. I'm showing my age now. And it came. It was published, and it's on YouTube, and it's lovely, because I find in that particular case, the organ is giving me an insight into the creative mind of the composer, who was an organist. His name's Anton Bruckner, 1824 to 1896. I just said that in case anybody's curious. And again, it's like the composers, that overwhelming, or with an artist, that overwhelming desire to create something. And this is my sort of interpretation of it in doing these videos. Is I feel like but like I said before, I feel like I'm going to explode if I don't get it out. So I have to release it. It's a sort of venting in a positive way. Hopefully, is a good way to describe. Niven said you here. Excellent. Yeah, wonderful channel. I'm a subscriber. I think it's courtesy as much as anything else, and of course, it's like, well, I'm probably going to benefit by watching other people's work as well. Well, I know I do anyway. And as I've said before, we're all students, observers, and teachers. Now, if you observe, it might be with me, it could be one word that somebody says unknowingly in a message, and it's click. Something goes and it unlocks something. And I can flip the word in my mind, as it were, or I can hear the sounds of it and think, I haven't heard it in that way before. That could mean something else. Like Roman. I mean, what is are we roaming? Are we spending 40 years walking around a desert absolutely lost? Are we without a compass? Are we without guidance? Have we lost our way, for example? They're roaming in so many different ways. And then you've got Romany gypsies and gypsies Egypt. And I can't help but see the similarity in the sounds. So that gets me off on a tangent about different things like that. Funny old way I spend the days. Because this, every second of every waking minute, this is constant. It's a sort of a gift and a curse, because it's fun and it's also mentally exhausting. And then I have to find the balance of, I need to cut off. I need to put something, I don't know, a comedy sketch or something where I'm not going to be hopefully seeing a hidden meaning. Although even with that, something I think I'm going to escape from it, it's almost like, well, that was intended to find that. There's still no escape, but it's all fun. It really is. And people have said to me in messages and things, I can't do tarot cards, or I can't do healing. Can you teach me? No, not really. You've either got it or you haven't. I think you already have an interest in it to be able to have the skill. And let's not forget that we're all different. And again, I've said this before, you may have untapped skills you're not even aware of, because the situation hasn't brought them out. Because it is all about experiences. So when you go through what seems to be a bad experience, think of it like a chapter in an ongoing story, because that chapter's now closed. So you're on to a new chapter, new horizons, new day, new start. Could be exciting. It is, if it's got to a low point, well, then it can only go up again. It's like the sine wave; it goes up and down, and we're N powered. The letter N, as I've said before, look at the shape of the capital letter N. It goes up, and it moves in a linear sense across to the right. It goes down, but then it rises again. Familiar sounding story, that one. So that's why Lord, N powered, or M powered, me powered. N and M are very much interchangeable at times, and M is just a flip over of a W, which is we. And again, collective coming together. I forgot the comments again. Sorry. Sound is profound. Oh, that's superb. Yes. Well, there's two ways of looking at that, because you've got this herd mentality, and they do like silence is golden as well. Sorry. But yes, humor is have a laugh, have a chuckle. Obviously not if it's at somebody else's expense or another living being's expense, but there are some really funny things you can observe. And again, I was in The Chemist. For those not in the UK, that's they do all beauty products and medicines, and it's hell. But they've got this offer on, and I couldn't help but see it. There's the two opposing aisles, and it says 3 for 2. And on the left is condoms, and on the right is pregnancy test kits. And I thought, the assistant, does the offer apply across the whole range? Well, you do. I mean, if the condoms fail, then you're probably going to need a pregnancy test kit. So you might as well take advantage of the offer and save yourself some money. But that's just, I just found that really amusing, how the two, yeah, you just can't make these things up. The best humour is observational, I find. If you look at a comedian on stage will do something, they will tell you a story, they will give you a background of something really that everybody can relate to, that draws you into that story ready for the punchline. It's wonderful to sort of analyze all these things as well, and look at them. I mean, we do live in a wonderful age, regardless of how much is true and how much is official narrative and how much is outright lies or exaggerations. There is a wealth of information at your fingertips with this internet. I mean, hey, I haven't got to buy CDs if I can listen to music on YouTube, for example. So no more hoarding and buying things that, how many times am I really going to play them? Maybe if it's a favorite thing, I might play it for 20 times, but then it's going to sit on a shelf. It's going to take up space. And just like with the mental, it becomes clutter in the end. And don't forget, your musical tastes can change as well. And do we want to hold on to so much for sentimental reasons? And do we need that to be complete, or do we have to have that extension with a favorite book or a favorite CD? It is about letting go, and that is material anyway, regardless of the medium and what you get out of it. Hopefully if you've paid enough attention, you've got all out of it. I mean, there are symphonies and things I can play in my head, and I don't have to actually have any sound on at all, and I can entertain myself that way. It's self-entertainment. It's all within again, and you create your own little cinema in your head. I mean, what is the capacity of the mind? Because that's saying about what can you get your head round something. That's not physically your skull is expanding, hopefully. Otherwise you look like Pinky in the Brain. I forget which character's which. And not a good look. Well, I mean, my hair will go like curtains if I do that. Or yeah, like that Boris Karloff with a square. Oh no. I do like those. They're fun. There's sort of slightly more of an innocence with the old black and white films, that's particularly if you're noticing, if you go back to the black and white era, there's more implied than the graphic horror being shown or the sex scenes being shown. It's enough to imply when the door shuts and the light goes off, you know what's going to happen. And same with anything where these days it seems to be, if someone is being sick, they have to show someone being sick. And I think we've all experienced that, and we don't really need to see it. But this subconscious bombardment of taking everything down to a basic level of graphic and bringing out the most negative base levels to everything as well is another mind trap to avoid. And unplugging from the matrix is quite literally unplugging from the television and unplugging from all the electronic devices in many ways. Not really helping myself if I'm saying it, if I'm making a video on YouTube, but balance as well. There are times, and especially when the sun is coming round, it shines on the screen. I can't really see it. All I get is a reflection of myself, and it's like, well, that's the time to not bother watching it. I can spend the time doing something more productive, creating something in wood, doing something in the garden, feeding the birds, watering the plants. That's without even going out of this hermit state that I choose to put myself in. So as much as anything else, this is a social outlet as well. And I'm just waffling now, doing an excellent job. Thank you. I'm glad you said learning with you, because it is always two ways, as I've said. And as I said a little while ago, it can be just one word. And there's a prime example, learning with, or a phrase, because that is exactly what it is. It's a level playing field. It's not me being the teacher and you all being students, and therefore you're lesser than me. But then even if you think of it that way, the teacher is just a pointless existence if there are no students. And we can all learn from each other. The indications for everything right across the board is collective and mutual support is the way forward. There's no denying that, whatever way you look at that, spiritual, in the physical 3D. But unfortunately, there's a huge trick being played where, and this is why you get these reports of elderly person beaten up or whatever by a youth, as they always say these days, or did, I don't know. I don't keep up with it. And it's like, well, hey, look, that you've not put any thought into this. You're in the system has put you in, where you're possibly homeless, you've got a drug addiction, but now you're picking on a vulnerable target instead of thinking, hang on a minute, I've been put here by a system that is not working in my best interest or anybody else's best interests. And until people can see that, and that is really difficult, because this is impossible to sum up in a single sentence as to what is wrong with the world. I use the word world, and it's triggered something, because it is a whirl. It's like political. They put a spin on it. Does the earth move? Yeah, it does, in a way, in an allegorical way. We can turn things round. We can turn this world round and turn it into something positive. So yes, in a way, it does move, you could say. So there's so many ways you can explain these things, and there's always a duality, but there's so much focus on the being right and having the last word with this 3D, and these days it's having last text message. I think communication has gone electronic with so many people. Don't smile and say hello to them, because they think you're absolutely crazy if they're a stranger and they don't know you, because that can be fun as well. Play the fool, play the jester, be the joker in the pack. It can be you can have a bad deal. Well, take control of the pack and be the dealer. Deal out some positive energy. Don't be, oh, you're such a card. Don't be a card. Don't be two-dimensional and be a number, or have an artificial status and be a jack, queen, or king. And the chances of being an ace, especially when you're going through a spiritual or truth-seeking experience, the control system is not going to let you. And there is a club, and we are not in it, as George Carlin famously said, and very true it is too. That I can reiterate something I happen to watch about this new world order being shared power amongst what is an expanding family. If you look at any family tree and genealogy, it's normally like a pyramid, and where you're doing your own family history, it's a pyramid. And now you've got not just the first son, the rightful heir to everything. They're all having a little turn, and they're called politicians, they're called actors and actresses, they're called false idols. Anything that is going to draw your attention is one of these in this club that the rest of us are not. And they do keep them things very much. It's not just their purity of blood and keeping themselves to themselves. They keep these positions for themselves as well. And there's no way, even with the best intents of the world, you're going to break into that circle. So we need to form our own circle, which is all encompassing, I think, is probably the best way, as best we can. And those that want to join can, and those that don't won't. And that's all we can do about it, really. So, but yes, big changes coming, big upsurges in energy. And Mercury's gone retrograde. Doom and gloom, shock horror, not a good time to have relationships, not a good time to talk, not a good time to communicate. Well, I disagree. You can flip that round, not a good time to communicate. Well, that means more silence, more time to be reflective, which then allows a more selective channeling of messages you put out rather than too many. He says making a second live video today. But I felt I had to say this. And what are we? Oh, good grief, 32 minutes. That's rather a long time. And you'll get fed up with me. And we've got to keep this fresh all the time. So I am going to go now, and I wish you all a wonderful day, night, evening, again, whatever. And I'm gonna remember to say it this time. Ta-ta for now. Okay. See you again soon. Thank you for listening. And there we go. No, it's disappeared again. You can tell it's live, can't you? There we go. Right. Bye-bye.